of the week, or of the work week, one should say. And welcome to America's Mayor Live. Just wanted to make sure I got them all right. I was slowing down to Biden time. Right? You like my shirt? Would those people who like my shirt let Ted know? Or is Ted looking at that, or Rob? Who's looking at that today?
We're actually both looking at it.
Who's kinder? Who's kinder? I mean, who's kinder in their way in which they deliver to me? Mayor, you look like a jerk. Mayor, you look like an idiot. Mayor, God Almighty, you should stay on radio. Which is the one that does that? I know one of you does that, and the other one is extremely complimentary. Mayor, you look great. Wow.
I think we would both agree that you do look great. And you're matching the flag right behind you.
Well, I did mention that
It's so bad, Dr. Maria walked out. And when she walks out, I'm in trouble. We tried to coax her to be on tonight, but she's just got back from New Hampshire, which is like getting back from heaven. And she's getting ready for the Sunday show. I don't know what she has in mind for Sunday, but she's been working on it. I think it may have something to do with vaccines. You know, the vaccine thing is starting to come up again. And with all this Biden stuff, and people are forgetting, but they're trying to force vaccines on us again. And I kind of thought that was over. Didn't we figure out, like, that was wrong? That was, like, unconstitutional and wrong, and you should let people decide for themselves. And the vaccines aren't really, first of all, vaccines are only vaccines because we're living through 1984. A vaccine, now I'm doing this without scientific help, and when the doctor comes back, maybe she'll, my view of a vaccine, because I lived through the polio era, when you could get polio and when there was a vaccine for polio. So when I was a kid, you had to be careful about where you went swimming and all kinds of stuff, and they would frighten the living daylights out of you with pictures of poor kids with polio. And ooh, I remember one time walking past a tuberculosis hospital at Kings County Hospital with my mother. My mother told me you can't get too close to the tuberculosis hospital. And the next day I was coughing, and I thought, well, maybe I have tuberculosis. But they're going to, the vaccine hasn't had any more tests. That was the whole problem with it in the first place. Plus, it doesn't prevent you from getting the disease. Now, I must have missed this somewhere in biology or dictionary reading or whatever. Isn't a vaccine supposed to prevent a disease? You don't like get it 3 months later, and then you have to take 432 boosters. You know why? Dr. Jill Biden is sick all the time? She got too many holes in her arms from all the vaccines. You know if you have too many holes in your arm, then you're gonna get bacteria in your arm. And the reason you have so many holes in your arm is, for every new vaccine they make $1 trillion. So they don't really care if they kill you or not.
Right.
Isn't that what Kennedy's book says?
I think
Like they don't give a damn if they kill you or not.
the general consensus is that they're getting more sick people who are getting the vaccine.
And they love it because they'll make more money.
Yeah.
Well, let's begin with the story of the last 2 days, which is summarized by the headline writers of the New York Post, who are the best. Junkie liar. Boy, they don't mince words, huh? So they're talking about the 3 counts that it took Weiss 5 years to put together, and he got it in just under the statute of limitations. So here are the counts. If you want to go and look at my little breakdown there that I stole from the New York Post, you want to show everybody what they are? False statement in purchase of a firearm, false statement related to information required to be kept by federal firearms licensed dealer. Sounds like pretty much the same thing, right? This is what prosecutors do. This is what we call prosecutor bullcrap, right? And then count 3 is a real one. possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance. Now, this one is important for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's the core of the Democrat Party gun control program, right? And Joe was a big contributor to that bill and wanted it to be a 10-year sentence. I wonder how he's going to feel about it now. And what that basically says is that if you're a drug addict, you shouldn't be walking around with a gun. Now, I think even those of us who are against that kind of rigid gun control, really, that is even gun control. That's got like rational, like you wouldn't, I mean, all things being equal, we wouldn't want a guy totally drunk walking around with a pistol, a loaded pistol, right? Nor do we want a crazy person carrying a pistol, although apparently we got plenty of them, and or a criminal. So most people, those who are for gun control, those who are against gun control, Fourth Amendment purists, Fourth Amendment, I guess, what would you call them, more moderate Fourth Amendment interpretations, and even those maybe against the Fourth Amendment, they'd all agree that it's not a good idea for a drug addict to be carrying a gun. And the idea gets worse the more addicted the person is, right? The more addicted he is, obviously, the more dangerous he's going to be, because the less capable he is of being able to control himself. Well, Hunter was about as addicted as you can be. We would put him in the top 99 percentile of addicted people, since he really can go being gone, not just high, but gone, like sitting in a closet, contemplating his penis and smoking a crack pipe, or driving an automobile. He's an aggravated case also because we have demonstration of his endangering life by violating this law, because we have pictures of him driving a car while smoking crack right around the time that he possessed his gun. We have a book that says he was addicted at the time that he had this gun, and I believe he had just gone out of, or he was just about to go into rehab, which for him was like two times a year. And it wasn't rehab, because in rehab he would often order drugs, have it set up, have it sent to him, and prostitutes. So it was really more like a gangster's vacation, right? But he pled guilty to those things. It is that the only thing really proven by this is that the Justice Department is completely corrupt. Yeah, I mean, these counts are ridiculous. The man's a traitor. The man was doing business with China, millions and millions and millions of dollars, benefiting them with arms programs, benefiting them with money, benefiting them with access. You can be damn sure that the Biden case involving classified documents is not a benign case like Trump's, where they were in Mar-a-Lago, one place or another, not in the right place, whatever. You got to be sure if the Chinese got their hands on it. And if they didn't, Biden went out of his way to make sure that they did. He put them in Chinatown. He put them in an institute funded by China, another institute funded by China, and he stuck them right under the nose of a Chinese spy, his son. His son, you remember, told his prostitute girlfriend when he was high on something that his partner was a spy chief of China. So we have a guy who's a partner of the spy chief of China going past classified material for 3 years, 4 years. Some of that stuff goes back to when he was a senator, 15 years. Yeah, they haven't even subpoenaed a fingernail yet in that. That's because here's the one thing. Well, there are about 5 things we can be sure of. Here's the number one thing. We have an entirely corrupt federal justice system. Biden has done what no one else has ever done, which is completely corrupt America's justice system, so that if we were to be rated in the world now, we would have to be rated as a corrupt country, because our prevailing power structure now uses criminal law as a political tactic against their opposition. That is the only way you can possibly interpret 4 indictments of Donald Trump next year, all jammed up so he can't possibly, they think, contest the election. There is no one in the world but a few brainwashed Democrats that believes the opposite, including our press, because they just lie about it. The indictments of Donald Trump have nothing to do with law, justice, crime. You can't even find the crimes. I mean, you can't even find the crimes. Meanwhile, the hard drive, since I revealed it, even when I was being called a Russian pawn, the hard drive is like, it's almost like a megaphone screaming out a crime a day. Every day a new crime. Money laundering. Here, come look, Latvian government. Come look, Latvian government says money laundering. The Bidens are involved. Money went to Joe. Oh gosh, we've had this for 6 years, 7 years. But the FBI can't read the little bottom part here. Oh, they can't read it. They can't see it. Oh, gee, I guess we're going to miss that money laundering. Oh gosh, it was only 3 million. Okay, so the Bidens got 3 million. We can get them on tax evasion for that. Oh, no. We can't get them for tax evasion on that. Weiss says let the statute of limitations run on that one. Yeah. This guy Weiss, shouldn't he be in jail? I want you to think about, just want you to think about this, please. Please, 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 please. Just bear with me and use rationality. It's so rare now in our American political discourse. Just a couple of weeks ago, Weiss was telling you, or the witnesses were telling you, that Weiss couldn't indict Hunter for what he wanted to indict him for, because he went to California and he went to Washington and he couldn't get an indictment. Now that created a firestorm, because the Attorney General, who some people still believe might tell the truth. I know he's become a complete slime ball. And it's unforgivable what he's done to the Justice Department by turning it into the Biden prosecutors and the Biden police. But that slime ball Attorney General testified, I gave Weiss all the power that a special prosecutor would have, and he could indict anywhere he wanted. That's under oath, quoted and well known. Weiss instead tells his agents, 2 of whom testified under oath, which is a lot more than they've done, and they were told by Weiss, I tried to get the U.S. attorney in California, a Biden junkie, obviously, or a Biden lackey, and the one in Washington who really is a Bidenista. I mean, he's putting people away left and right for trespass. But they were involved in something worse than September 11, something worse than the Civil War, something worse than, what else is it worse than? Civil War.
Pearl Harbor.
Of course, yeah, much worse than Pearl Harbor. Probably worse than the
Revolutionary War.
Probably worse than, well, you know what it is like? It is kind of like the Inquisition. That's what it seems like, or maybe the incarceration of the Japanese during World War II. Sounds a lot like, I mean, that was a Democrat administration also.
Or the 1812.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the worst violation. And I'm not saying they're guilty or not guilty. See, people who are guilty also have human rights. Like, you don't hold them for 2 years in a prison that's a piece of crap without charging them with a crime. You don't send out the stormtroopers to arrest them and scare the living daylights out of their babies when they didn't commit a crime of violence of any kind, real crime of violence. You don't go around saying insurrection when nobody had a gun. And we know how much you lied about the original event, how you exaggerated it. I hope the real truth of that comes out someday. I don't know that I know the whole real truth of it. All that I can tell you is, man, you were conned. Ooh, were you conned? But we've been conned now for 5. Weren't we conned on Russia? Why are we so surprised? We were conned on Russian collusion. We were conned on the conversation with the Ukrainian president. We were double-crossed, conned, censored, and de-Americanized by the way they handled the hard drive, hiding it, covering it up, including the Attorney General Barr. So why wouldn't they do these other things? The simple rule is they have proven to us they will do anything criminal to maintain power. So Hunter is now indicted, and isn't it interesting, as Congressman Coomer pointed out, that it's the only set of crimes that he committed, of which there are dozens, where Joe Biden is not involved in them. All the other crimes, he has told us who the final recipient is. You don't know it because the press doesn't repeat it often enough. It doesn't say it often enough. But it's clear as hell. The final recipient of it is Joe Biden. 50% of everything Hunter makes goes to Hunter. That's also called evidence, which they say doesn't exist. But of course, you don't believe them anymore because they're a bunch of liars. So here's how they dealing with it now. Hunter, bad boy, did bad things. He's going to get punished. Who knows if he even go to prison, right? But there's no evidence that Joe was involved. I don't even know how to unpack that lie. It begins with lying about what evidence means. Evidence doesn't mean proof yet. Evidence is a stepping stone to proof. It's a fact. It's a fact that, if true, leads to is a step toward proving the crime. Sometimes a small one, sometimes a big one. Rarely the whole thing. Rarely one piece of evidence is going to give you the whole crime. Even if it's a film, there are going to be issues about intent. What happened before the film and what happened after the film. Very, very few, even a confession. There have been confessions that are done for all kinds of psychological reasons or even human reasons. It is very, very rare in the law that one piece of evidence that you would win a case by putting in one piece of evidence. The best cases have evidence, circumstantial evidence. A lot of judges think is even stronger because it isn't just right or wrong. It sort of ties together, and it becomes like an inextricable knot that gets built by one tying into the other. To say there is no evidence is probably the biggest lie that any of these people have told in their political career. To say that they don't believe the evidence would be a lie, because they do, but it wouldn't be the biggest lie. You want some examples of evidence? Okay, let me give you some examples of evidence. The testimony of Mr. Bobolinsky, which he gave a couple of years ago, and the FBI has ignored him since. in which he said that Joe knew about all the deals, Joe approved them, Joe was part of them. Joe was the big guy in the deal with the Chinese communists. That's evidence. Okay? And he's a witness. That's what witnesses give. Evidence. The videotape that I have, and the one that was repeated in some ways, but not nearly as complete, a couple of weeks ago with Mr. Shokin, the prosecutor who was fired, who says, I was told that I was fired because Biden wanted me out because I was going after Burisma, and he wanted the Burisma case killed. That's evidence. They'll say he was corrupt. The prosecutor will respond with the fact that there's no evidence of corruption. And there's a lot of evidence now, including tape recordings, in which Poroshenko made it clear to Biden directly that they were going to have to make that up. They're going to have to make up the corruption of Shokin. That's evidence. There's a report from the FBI informant saying that Hunter got $5 million, and Joe got $5 million from Zlochevsky, according to Zlochevsky himself, in order to fix the Burisma case so that Zlochevsky didn't lose his multi-billion-dollar company. Now, that's evidence. That's tricky evidence because you're going to have to figure out how to get it in because it's hearsay. Hearsay isn't not evidence. Hearsay is not necessarily admissible evidence. So now you got to find a way to get it in. Well, first of all, if you can convince Zlochevsky to testify, it then becomes direct evidence. And if you could convince Zlochevsky to turn over the tapes that he claims he has, and they corroborate them, it becomes even stronger direct evidence. But we've been told about it. We have no reason to believe it or not to believe it. We just have reason to take it into account. So how do you say there's no evidence? If it's there and true, it gets into the category of devastating evidence. That would make it almost impossible, even for a totally committed Democratic jury, not to convict Joe Biden. A $5 million bribe to a vice president of the United States. Oh, they're the biggest crime in American history alone. Oh, gee, until we get to the $3.5 million from Madame Baturina from Russia. That was to Hunter. There have been about 5 lists of people who have gotten sanctions who are Russian oligarchs of much less significance than Madame Baturina. And the second one they have dinner with, I've forgotten his name, I'll get it for you later. Well, you get sanctioned as a Russian if you haven't had dinner with Joe and paid off his son. If you had dinner with Joe and paid off his son, you don't become sanctioned. So could it be, could Joe commit bribery, boys? I'm going to ask you this. This is a law question. Could Joe commit bribery if he took money, or not if he took money, if he agreed to get the case on Burisma dropped, or he agreed to, or he agreed to help Ms. Baturina. He got no money, but his son got the money. Would that be bribery?
Admittedly, I was reading the Chiron. Repeat that second part of it. So
Pay attention, see. I think we failed him. Criminal Law 101, we just failed him. We had to fail him. I mean,
yeah, if that was class, I wouldn't have admitted. I wouldn't have admitted to that.
Not even
I would have made up an answer, and you would have.
Here's the question: I'll change the facts a little. You come to me.
No, let him finish. I want to hear this.
Go ahead.
Well, I got to let me tell it.
Yeah.
So You come to Joe, you say to Joe, and this ballerina says to Joe, I'm going to give your son 3.5 million. I'm giving your son 3.5 million. But when the sanctions come along, I don't want to be on the sanctions. Joe says, oh, I don't want that money, but give it to my son. Give it to my son.
So Joe Biden.
And then when the sanctions come along, he doesn't put it on. But Joe didn't get anything. Only Hunter got it. We'll fix up the other part of it later. But that Joe got nothing.
What was the service provided by the son?
By Joe.
Yes, I mean, of course that's a bribe, unless you can show, that Hunter Biden in a legitimate business earned that money, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a clear
the only
bribe.
business he could have been in is getting a crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If
She doesn't look like a crack either. I think
if he could show that he had provided her with
crack.
3.5 million, what was the amount?
3.5 million.
If he could show that he provided her with 3.5 million in crack,
She's not on his prostitute list.
so then it's a bribe.
Everybody he ever did is on. He has film with.
Mayor, of course, it's a bribe.
We know that. It was required that you get film with it.
And then what would you do with the evidence of which in the form of text messages where Hunter then talks about and complains about having to give money to Pops?
Well, I was just leaving that out.
Okay.
Because they leave it out.
But is that
They
is that
make believe
admissible?
It doesn't exist.
Where could that come in?
Makes it a much easier crime. But the reality is that if I'm a public official and I perform an official action in exchange for something of value that goes to another person, I'm aware of it, it's bribery.
What
It
if
doesn't
they
have to go to me. I can, you tell me you want to fix a ticket. I'm the judge. I fix the ticket. You pay my cousin.
look?
That's a crime.
What if Hunter argues, okay, well, I was just creating the inference of influence with this woman. I don't actually have influence over my father's decision, but I took the money because, hey, if this woman thinks I can get my father to make decisions based off the money,
ahead and kept her off the list that every other Russian was on. Tell a jury. Go tell that to a jury.
Right.
Now the case is much better than that. The case is much better than that, and the case is the strongest case I've ever seen. This is such a tremendous scandal and such a tremendous attack on the American justice system. It would want to make you cry if you'd ever devoted your life to this like I have. All this money was going to the father. We don't even have to guess about it. He tells us that. I mean, he tells us that. We don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to think. We don't have to worry. We don't have to. I'm going to get out for now. Actually, let's take a break while I get this out and do our Tunnel to Towers. You better send your $11 in. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. Sean is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
And we're back on. Come on. Yep. All right, come on. Yep.
Are we good?
Yep.
All right.
You see it?
I see it. Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
We are?
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
thank you for
Yeah.
coming back. I'm going to straighten that out just a little. Watch.
Oh, I can do this.
It up. Because I am going to end the long tail with something that could have ended this case 4 years ago when I first brought this out. This was put out originally 4 years ago. This explains the whole case in one text. It explains the entire RICO case in one text. Ties it all together in a way that I've almost never seen a conspiracy or racketeering case brought together. When you think about all the different bribes, right? So I conceptualized the big ones. I call them the point men bribes. Every time Joe was appointed a point man by the corrupt enabler Obama, he failed, as Gates tells you, in his objective for us as Americans, but he got millions for his crime family. I didn't say thousands, I said millions. I'm going to limit it to 3, just 3. 1, and you haven't heard very much about, but will. Iraq. He was sent to Iraq to negotiate a status of forces agreement, which any nitwit could have done with the power of the United States. The status of forces agreement meant American troops could stay there, but they would be prosecuted under American military law, not Iraqi law, for fear that the Iranians would take over Iraq and torture them. After all we had done for Iraq and the troops we had there, any nitwit could have gotten that done, except one that is below the intellect of a nitwit, or even integrity, Joe Biden. However, his brother walked away with a 30% piece of a $1.4, $1.5 billion housing deal in Iraq. That's 1. 2, Ukraine. Joe gets appointed point man for Ukraine. That makes him the most important guy in Ukraine, more important than the president. Zlochevsky, the owner of a corrupt company that's under seizure by the Ukrainian government, says, I got to get somebody to get to the president because the president hates me and can take my company from me. And look, this guy Biden is more powerful than the president. And everybody but the stupid press in America that protects him knows he's a big crook, been a crook for 30 years. His son is whoring around all around Eastern Europe and Asia looking for money any way he can get it for the old man. His brothers have been crooks way back when he was like trailer trash. So he makes a deal. You heard him describe it through one of the FBI's most reliable informants or sources. $5 million for Joe, $5 million for Hunter. Fix the Burisma case if I need you. And by the way, I'll also hire your son and his partner. I'll give him $1 million a year. And they don't have to do very much. Just don't have them come over here and get me in trouble by buying drugs and whoring around, which he actually does do. He keeps them out of Ukraine because Hunter is a complete embarrassment. And then the third one, and one that has the most moving parts, is China, in which going back to about 2010, Hunter is begging around for crumbs from China, then strikes it rich, gets a $1.5 billion commitment to a private equity fund. That includes him, the son of Senator Kerry, Devin Archer, and yes, a guy you're going to hear a little more about because they don't want you to hear about him, James Bulger, who's the nephew of one of the biggest organized criminals in the United States, Whitey Bulger. Yes, he was partners with Whitey Bulger's nephew. But they don't tell you that. In fact, when they tell you this transaction, they deliberately leave the fourth partner out of it, or fifth partner. Hunter, Devin, Kerry's stepson, the government of China, and Whitey Bulger's nephew, who has been pumping money in for China for 10 years. You can't imagine how many, I'll be nice, questionable, verging on the border of treasonous transactions went on with China, or unless you consider doing business with China okay, when they've announced they want to overtake us by 2048, when they announced they are in a state of war, when they threatened to constantly attack Taiwan. You may have a different view of it. Maybe James Bulger has a different view of it. But given some of the deals that he's made, they're deals that would strategically help China, not just financially. But in any event, so is Hunter. But it's unbelievable that you're not told that the nephew of one of the biggest, most notorious organized criminals in the history of this country, a guy who had a completely sordid relationship with the FBI, and who was very negligently handled by a gentleman known as Mueller. You know, the guy that couldn't remember who the witnesses were in the case. I don't like to make fun of people who have that illness, except if they do damage to my country like Mueller did. What he did is unforgivable in going after Trump on what he had to know was a paid-for false story from Hillary Clinton. I know him for years. He's another guy who's not working with the kind of brain you think he should be. So even when he showed up there not knowing who the hell he was, that wasn't too far off than the guy you usually knew. This is a pumped up piece of air who hired a bunch of animals to investigate Trump. Animals, not prosecutors, with a record for being animals, just like the guy now has got a record for being an animal. Now, I don't know why he's not, I don't know why these people aren't in jail. This, I think, I'll get you the exact date this first went out. It was in the winter of 2019.
January 2019.
Well, January 2019.
I have a quote here from Hunter's actual text.
Yeah, I mean well, let me just show it to them. Do you have it there? Yeah. So this is a back and forth with his daughter.
Same one that you're holding?
To Naomi, the one there I'm holding in my hand, a copy of it. It reads as the first part is really just the beginning of it. Really, I did just that you figure out from this semester on and the rest of her life how to figure out how you can support yourself. I never give you another dime again. If I never give you, if you want to go to Pop, that's fine. I love you, but you never fight for even what is best for your sister. This is their. Is that family stuff? Oh my God, yeah. I mean, and that's their problem, and maybe not unusual. I don't know. I think disowning your grandchild is not just unusual; it's evil. But that's okay because Biden is evil. Find an apartment with Peter by next week, the father tells the daughter, and send me the keys and leave all of my furniture and art. So I guess he's throwing her out. I guess. I mean, I really don't know. I think I do because I have read the back part, but it's not important. This is the part that probably could be that I could build an almost guarantee of a conviction around. If you understand how conspiracies and RICO cases are tried, they don't. They don't. Some idiot was on the other day, some guy, Daly, whose uncle was a drug dealer cop who I put in jail, who said, I really didn't do the RICO cases. I mean, it's ridiculous, the lies they tell. Yeah, I really didn't do them. I had a stand-in, go in court for me. Well, here's something that anyone trying a RICO case would give your eye teeth for. It's an explanation of the financial deal. I love all of you, but I don't receive any respect, and that's fine, I guess. Works for you, apparently. I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. I won't make you give me half your salary. I won't make you give me half your salary. I won't make you give you half my salary. Why does he give half his salary to his father? Because it belongs to his father. And doesn't that make sense? Think of all the years these idiot morons would say, why would they give all this money to Hunter Biden? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it couldn't possibly be because they wanted favors from his father, the vice president or senator, could it? No, China wouldn't want that. Ukraine wouldn't want that. Russia wouldn't want that. Kazakhstan wouldn't want that. I think I probably mentioned 5 of the most corrupt countries in the world. I think, right near the top of the list. I mean, we're heading there. Do you realize how stupid they think you are? The minute I saw that, I said, this isn't just a bribery case. This is a 30-year selling out of the United States of America. 30 years of selling out my country, your country. This is even Democrats are going to go crazy when they read that. Even Democrats are going to go crazy because there are a few that love this country. Even Democrats are going to go crazy with, for 30 years, he's been given half his salary to his father, and his salary comes mostly from our enemies. No. Instead, what they did was they covered it up. And they got the New York Times and the Washington Post, who read that, and all these other people who will sell out America for, I don't know for what, for the hatred of Trump, for the hatred of conservatives, for the hatred of deplorables, for their desire to keep themselves powerful. There have been House records now released of at least $20 million from Russian and Kazakh and Chinese and Ukrainian oligarchs. I mean, they're records. That's evidence. What I just read to you, that isn't just evidence. You know what that is? That's an admission. It's called admission, ADMISSION. It comes in under an exception to the hearsay rule. When Joe says, I never talked to my son about his foreign dealings, and I never discussed his foreign dealings, and I don't know nothing about his foreign dealings, and we play our recording we're going to play when we come back, that is known as a false exculpatory statement. That isn't just evidence. That's such powerful evidence, a judge is required to tell the jury at the end of the case that each one of those statements, and there are about 12 false exculpatory statements that Joe makes, that can be used all by itself to prove his guilty knowledge and intent, meaning that he had the requisite, we call it in the law, mens rea, to commit the felony. That's the hardest thing to prove, mental state, of course, because you can prove acts, but you don't know what the person's thinking. False exculpatory statements prove intent, says the law, which is why Comey's statement that Hillary Clinton, there was no evidence of intent, was about as big a lie as ever told by anyone. The only bigger lie were the lies that he told the court, for which it is a real sign of our corruption that he's walking free after doing that to the FISA court. And you're never going to repair that. You are never going to repair the damage that was done by allowing that court to be made a fool of. And those judges who allowed it and didn't demand a prosecution should be ashamed of themselves. Who are they serving? God or mammon? Well, we're now going to take a short break, and we'll be right back as I get myself ready for what I like best.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom, as we know it, has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Quick's digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Quicks. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting quicks.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
Welcome back, and I have my mouth full with fruits and vegetables. The Get It people are ahead of everybody. They're already taking theirs. But I really would appreciate it if you would do something for me, because it would help me. I'd appreciate it if you do it. Just take a shot. Buy them. Try them for a month. Hold on to them and wait for me to have them at night. And let's have a little ceremony. We'll have our fruits and vegetables.
Our Balance of Nature Minute.
And sometimes we'll have you call in or text in as soon as we get our super duper telephone thing fixed up. But you can text in and say, I recommend 8:22 for the time that we take it.
Why not the bottom of the hour?
Well, I don't know. I think we should change it. And then we'll all do it together.
I like that. Starting Monday, so comment below.
We'll have a toast.
Comment below. We'll do our
you
Balance
have
of Nature
yours.
toast.
And then, here's what you also do. So then write into me and let me know how it's going. I don't feel a difference. I do feel a difference. I like them a lot. I reordered them. I'm going to have them forever. I don't like them. Whatever the experience is. I'm doing this for your good. balanceofnature.com. Promo code Rudy, 35% off. I got to get more now because these are empty. I mean, I have another one of these back there, but I'm going to get, I'm trying to collect these. Make sure I order some more of these, okay? This you get $25 off, the little ones. These are good though, if you're going on a trip. You can get a week, well, I don't know about a week. Going on a short trip, going on more than that. It's taking a big bag and take more with you. Okay? Fair enough? We're going to get ready for next week for that. And now what I try to do, and when I review the week after it's over, like tonight or tomorrow morning when I get up and I think about, well, what do we cover this week? And then I have a show on Sunday on Covering the Truth with Dr. Maria, where we try to pick the biggest topic. I don't know if I can discuss it now, but I was severely attacked by someone trying to take away my First Amendment right for a thing that I did on that show. And they made all kinds of claims that I made statements without any support. And within 5 hours, I found support for every single thing I said. So as I work this through with lawyers, I'm going to shove it down there. You know what? Every single thing I said comes from reports that existed on the public record. They're trying to pretend that I made it up. This is exactly what the creeps in. And then the ones who are suing me in Georgia, the women who threw the people out and counted the ballots in private against Georgia law, which you can go see for yourself. What I said to you was, don't take my word for it. Go look at it. My opinion is they threw people out and counted the ballots with nobody there. Now, but you don't know something that you should know. Georgia law makes it illegal to do that. It makes it illegal to count the ballots without the public there. And you can see them throwing the public out. And then you can see them scurrying around after. You can see them. Maybe you're going to see it differently than me. God bless you if you do. But I don't know how you can stop me from having my opinion of what I see if you can have your opinion of what you see. I know there are places you can do that. They were called the Soviet Union, Nazi Germany, present communist China, and Biden's America. It also accomplishes something that the law prohibits, which is called a prior restraint. You can't stop someone from speaking. You can wait for them to speak, and then you can sue them for it. But you can't stop someone from speaking. The law abhors a prior restraint because our dedication to the cleansing concept of free speech is so strong. This sounds very, very hard, but Greg Kelly gave a great dissertation on this yesterday on radio with a lady who was, legitimately confused. Like the lady called up, and I think a conservative. She was saying, but I guess it's okay if people are prosecuted for lying. Think about it. We don't prosecute people for lying, do we? I don't know. Did you ever lie? If you haven't, I want you to go to church and put yourself up there next to Jesus on a statue. Okay? If you've never lied, I want you to go. You know where they have statues of Jesus in a Catholic church or Episcopalian church? Just go right up there with Jesus and say, you and me, we're the two perfect people that ever lived. I once had a reporter, when they were talking about Trump's language, guys. The locker room language.
It's locker talk.
Yeah, I was the only one who would defend it. I mean,
everybody did the full Ginsburg.
Everybody else ran out.
You went on every show.
Christie said his wife would be angry at him.
So even Christie ran.
Yeah, and what's her name?
The polls. Kellyanne Conway.
ran out. She said she's a Catholic. What am I?
You're fat. Must be a
She
fat.
almost said, not as good a Catholic, which is actually true.
No,
I'm just as honest.
I'm going to disagree with that. But
So I had to do 2 shows originally. I ended up doing 5.
the full Ginsburg, they call it.
And it doesn't count the local ones I did. I did 2 or 3 more while I was waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one of them, I think it was one of them. Maybe it was the day after. But one of them said to me, Mayor Giuliani, you're very distinguished. I was then a distinguished lawyer. Now I don't know, a criminal. I have a parole officer. You're a very distinguished lawyer, and you've argued in the Supreme Court, and you've given 1,000 speeches, and very articulate. You'd never use language like that, would you? So I said to the reporter, who I happen to know is a pretty wild guy, said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever used language like that before I answer yours? He said, oh, no. And I said, wow. I'm glad it's a Sunday, because now I have finally met the only other person who's perfect, you and Jesus Christ. Give me a break. Come on. Yeah. You know, they're so phony. They're so phony. Right. And all this stuff about how Joe Biden's a nice guy. He's such a nice guy.
Well, everybody knows.
See this book?
Everybody knows how men talk about those things, right? However, I wonder if that's still the case. Did they socially engineer the society now to where literally no men talk that way? I don't know.
Well, there have been articles and stories and little pieces here and there that say that we're not going to have men like in 20 or 30 years. There will no longer be men.
Right. What will there be?
Metrosexuals?
I don't know. What does this cisgender thing mean? CIS, not cis like sister.
I think a CIS.
I once had a long discussion with a guy.
Isn't that a straight male?
I once was on a plane with a guy, not a very nice guy,
Comment
by the
below.
way.
What's a
and people have no
cisgender?
idea that I talk to anybody. Even if you can be like totally disagree with me, I'll talk to you. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So I'm on the plane with this guy, very nice guy. It was a fairly long ride. I think we were coming, of course, from Harvard. And he's a lawyer for a group that protects either gay and lesbian people or transgender people. Like he brings lawsuits for them if their rights are violated. So I didn't really want to get into the law of it. I really wanted him to try to explain to me something. I'm honestly curious. No. I said to me, I keep reading, and I don't. The number keeps going up, but I keep reading that there are like, I forgot what the number was then. Let's say 42 genders. 42 genders. I gotta write this. I got my whiteboard out here. There's something else here. I gotta watch out. 42 genders. Okay. So if there are 42 genders, right? I can start with 2. Male, female.
Now we're down to 40.
No, that's good. That's 2. That's what we were taught in schools. That's it. Conversation over, right?
Now I think there are 58 genders, by the way. Right?
Oh, it went up.
Well, don't people
What's
say
3?
Well, maybe.
Is that where cisgender comes in? Is that where transgender comes in?
So I guess. So it's LGB, right? Come on. Q.
LGBTQ.
To this day, I still don't know what that
P.
means.
LGBTQ.
Not QT?
IA.
No. LGBTQT plus.
You
right?
missed LGBT. LGBT.
Oh, it's T first? L.
The T comes before the T.
T.
Q.
But then they have a plus.
I.
No. Okay. All right. You're going to help me with this now.
A.
Get out of here.
I'm telling you, there's an A there.
Where
2. Then the number 2.
But where does that plus come in?
It's coming.
2.
Then there's an S.
S?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's a plus.
Okay. All right. L is lesbian.
Yes.
Let's see how well I do. G is gay,
Yes.
or what we would have called homosexual.
Yes.
But that might actually encompass both lesbian and gay. I don't know.
Yes.
B is bi.
Yes.
Means you're both lesbian and no, it means you like men and women. You go back and forth.
Yes.
Trans which I consider to be completely an illness. But oh God, I probably get in all sorts of trouble for that. But a trans, which until recently was an illness, I think it still is. And I think the fact that they're not treating it as illness means they're getting a lot more suicides. But far be it for me to want to save lives. Trans means, this gets a little confusing. You're born with one gender.
Which one are we talking about now?
Trans. You can have two kinds of trans, right? You can be born male, right?
Male to female, female to male. So M to F, F
So
to M,
you're either M to F.
or F to M. But this is where you're right. It might get a little bit interesting, right?
And F.
But then, there's the whole
F to M.
But I believe now there's other categories,
So,
even
but
subcategories.
here, right? They're making a distinction between sex and gender.
Yes, that's what
So
so that's an
your sex-
added element, an added dimension.
If I'm a male and I become a female,
Yes,
I'm still a male sexually, but I'm a female gender?
yes. If you maintain your male parts.
Okay. Suppose I get. Let's do it the other way around.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a female.
You can
Let's
take
say-
yourself out of this whole
No,
example,
I
Mayor.
wanna know, let's say I'm a female. I can handle that better than the other thing. Let's say I'm a female.
Okay, let's put the
And
comment.
I remain with all of the parts of a female, but I walk around like I'm a male.
You are
Am I a transgender anyway?
you are a transgender,
But one who hasn't. But I'm not all
but
the way
your,
transgender.
your sex is
I'm not a
still
fully committed transgender.
your sex is still male. Oh no, female. Sorry, your sex is still female. If you're a female that dresses like a boy, your sex is female. Your
But your
gender is male.
Now,
So you
suppose
can't
I take off the girl stuff.
take off or add.
No, suppose I take off and I add both.
Well,
Suppose I, take off
I think
all
there's
the
a term
girl
for
stuff and
someone that has
oh,
neither.
yeah,
There's a
we're
term
allowed
for
to say
those.
this. Suppose I take
pans-
off my breast and the female other part, and I put a penis on.
You then be
Plastic one.
you
I don't know
are
what kind, whatever kind they use.
then you will look. You'll always have been born female, but you've then changed your sex to male.
So now is my sex and gender male?
Yes. Gender, you have. It does seem as though gender's more. You're more in control. You're able to more kind of just
So,
choose
now,
more of a
when they say-
label.
so,
where
now,
sex has at least
Here's
a
the other
little
one I
bit-
want. So these people who are born male and they become female, and I'm now going to handle it, and they get rid of all the male stuff and they put in female stuff. They say they can have babies. They can have babies.
I don't think so, right?
I know so.
Okay.
What do you mean you don't think so?
I mean, I don't know.
Here's
Can you
what-
can
now,
you
okay,
surgically?
okay. Now,
can you
Install a baby?
yeah? Can you surgically install it? That's my question.
Yeah, no, it'll die.
Okay. I got to finish this off. What is Q for? Queer?
LGB. Oh, by the way, that is a few years old. What I just shared with you.
Let's stick with it. I don't want to get any further.
Okay, Q.
Yeah.
Q is queer.
But what isn't that what they used to call people who were gay or lesbian queer?
Yeah,
Years ago, Mayor. I mean, you're
did-
talking.
So
20
what's the difference then? What is a queer?
yeah,
What does a queer do that one of these others doesn't do?
yeah.
A queer is an umbrella term for people who do not identify as straight or cisgender. It was once used as a derogatory slur for members of the entire LGBTQ plus community,
familiar with.
but has now been reclaimed by the
For what? But
LGBTQ
you still
community.
it hasn't given you any information yet, though.
It's an umbrella term. So it's for
What
those
does that
that
mean, umbrella term?
somebody that doesn't Mayor, for those that don't want to be labeled as an L, a G, a B, or a T. Okay, so somebody
if
that
I don't
can't
wanna
quite
tell
decide.
you- if I don't want to tell you that I'm a lesbian, I can say I'm a queer.
Yeah, there you go. There's an example.
But won't you be able to? Won't you be able to tell?
And then it's
Not on gender. Maybe I mean by sex you could tell with with their
Like,
consent, of course. But
I don't have to. But
yeah. Don't,
but
I don't
when
have
I
to tell,
but
just look at me.
trans doesn't give me a great deal of information. If
So-
I'm trans, I don't know if you're. There should really be two more categories, like
questioning is what you're looking for.
uncommitted trans
Yes.
and committed trans.
Well, they have a term for it, and it's called questioning. So that's where Q, and I think that's probably why
What's Q?
I think they've updated the Q a little, but they actually go with 2 Qs now. But I think you may, or the questions you've just posed is part of why they've changed the Q
if
to
you're
questioning.
a female and you go around as a male saying you're a male, but you keep all the female stuff, that's got to be different than if you are a female and then you get rid of all the female stuff and you put in all the male stuff. It's got to be different.
Yeah, questioning. You're questioning, or you could intersex, right?
And aren't you,
Mayor, we didn't get to I.
but I know, but aren't you defrauding people?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm going out with this girl, right? She looks like this is a male who's become a female.
Okay.
And let's say she's done a really good job.
Yeah, yeah.
She looks like a beautiful female.
Yeah.
Sweet, nice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell me. Well, I mean, at some point there can be a big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that has led to violence
Oh,
and all sorts of things. And so, where the laws are on that, I don't think the laws are very clear. I think the idea is you, at some point, common sense would say you disclose that information, right? If you choose to take that path
shouldn't all this stuff
as an adult.
like be the exception? I mean, if everybody were like this, we wouldn't be able to reproduce.
Well, it is. That's why we have the LGBTQ.
Are they doing this because they're trying to get rid of humanity?
Are they promoting it? That's a good question.
Well, there are people who believe they're promoting this because they want to reduce the number, like Gates and
Yeah, according to Saul Alinsky.
Gates and Alinsky, and they all want fewer people.
Yeah.
I don't know why they want fewer people. They want fewer people.
Oh, that's called Malthusianism. It's the belief that we are going to deplete the planet of resources and food and agriculture, so we have to start killing people off
Because most of these people can't have babies,
right, none of them can.
and then the ones who start fooling around with the plumbing, I mean the plumbing is kind of sensitive anyway. You start fooling around with it, and your chance of having babies, poof. Okay, so Q, what's I?
Intersex. Intersex people are born with sex traits that prevent them from fitting into the traditional gender ideas of male and female. These traits can be biological, hormonal, genetic, or anatomical. Intersex is also an umbrella term for everyone who doesn't fit the traditional gender definitions.
That's almost everybody now.
So I don't understand.
Every poor kid who gets so confused
Yeah.
with these.
Yeah.
Oh, what I am.
And then P.
The schools.
P.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't give me P.
Well, that's okay. So
Well,
add
that
a
slipped
P.
in. That's a new one.
Slip in a P there before the A.
Did it happen just now? Did P get in there now?
Yeah, the P is a relatively new one, and that stands for pansexual. Pansexual people are sexually and or
everything.
emotionally attracted to all gender identities.
So a pansexual person
It's attracted to.
would date lesbians,
Anybody.
gays, bisexuals, trans, queers,
Questioning. There's 2 Qs there.
questioning,
Intersexual.
intersexual. Would they develop? Would they? But they wouldn't date like just a regular, boring old male or
boring,
female.
yeah, it'd be
Like
too
a boring male
No.
or female.
Probably not.
Aren't the woke
Like-
generation supposed to be notorious for being minimalistic? Why are they complicating everything?
Well, we didn't get to androgynous yet. That's the A.
Ooh, sounds good.
What is it? Androgynous? Being like a horse or something?
An androgynous is a person that possesses both masculine and feminine characteristics.
How do you do
It
that?
may be expressed through biological
Now,
sex.
tell me what. I don't want any more. Give me two.
Asexual.
Just tell me what two is.
There's
right?
another A. The
Just tell
2
me-
is two-spirit.
Two spirits.
It's an two-spirit. It's an umbrella term.
Two-spirit. How do we get to spirits now? We have
Two-spirit.
gender and we have sex. Now we have spirit.
The 2 represents two-spirit. It's an umbrella term for members of indigenous cultures that fulfill a traditional third gender or other variants in a ceremonial or social role. Two-spirit identities are unique to. I'm sorry. I can't. Two-spirit identities are unique. We have to be respectful, guys. We have to respect.
I'm respectful, but I don't know what it is.
Two-spirit identities are unique to every tribe. So the term two-spirit is a collective term.
To
So
every
it's
tribe.
To all tribes. So really, there's
But I don't belong.
even
to a
more
Do
gender.
I belong to a tribe and I don't know it?
Likely
we all
they
belong
could.
to
Yes,
tribes?
they could likely trace you back to what someone would determine to be a tribe. I mean, yeah, right. And that's Italy, right? And before the mid 1800s, wasn't it run by? Wasn't it all tribes?
Italy is having tribes.
There are asexual people too, Mayor. Those are people that lack sexual
Where's
attraction.
that? I don't see that one.
There's 2 A's. So again, I told you, right? I gave you an outdated. There's actually
So
it's
what was
longer
A?
than that.
What was A?
There's A for androgynous, and then there's A for asexual.
Asexual means you don't like anything.
Lack sexual attraction to other people.
I've known people like that. I've known people.
Now you know people that you just.
But they were male or female.
You assume them to be, or they just.
No, they told me.
They told you they just lack it. Wow. I can submit, and I'm not saying it.
No,
it's 100% a thing. I've just never had somebody admit that to me.
I actually have had someone admit that to me.
Interesting. No, that's fascinating.
And also,
I know it exists. Are they very productive
I
people?
also had someone tell me about such a person, and it seemed to me, looking at their situation, it seemed like it was right.
Yeah. I wonder if that could potentially increase productivity. I don't mean to.
But
could increase productivity in your job.
In both cases, both of these people were males.
If you don't,
and one of them had a child.
Oh, but imagine not being attracted to other people.
Oh,
yeah, but not wasting time on dating or impressing women.
But this person
ended up getting married.
This person had sex 2-3 times and had a child.
Okay.
That maybe he had sex 2-3 times in his life.
Because it doesn't mean you don't want family or love. You know what I mean? There's still reasons to have a family.
I don't know enough about it, but it means you're just not attracted.
Yeah.
I think it might have to do with hormonal level.
And then the last one is plus.
Testosterone, maybe.
I feel like we got to wrap this.
S, what was
put a bow
S?
on this. Oh, we didn't do the S?
Sexy. S is for sexy, like Marilyn Monroe.
2S. Oh, so 2S, the S. That's what I say. No. 2S. So the 2 and the S are actually 1.
Oh.
So 2S is two spirit. So maybe we get rid of the S or get rid of the 2.
Spirit. Okay, two spirit.
And then plus is the final. This is the catch-all.
Anything else you want to be?
The plus sign found at the end of the acronym refers to anyone who does not feel represented in the previous letters and symbols and characters of the acronym. So that plus will always be at the end, no matter how long the term is.
Wait. You know what they don't have here? So if you give me that list, LGBTQIPA2S plus, I can't pick any of those. I got to pick plus.
Would it be disrespectful if I spoke in a very...
Shouldn't you put M and F first? Shouldn't there be MF, LGBTQIPA2S plus? So if there's no...
No, because those are sexes, male and female. Those aren't genders. Those are the two sexes.
There's no male gender?
I think that's cisgender. I think male gender is cisgender. I think male sex aligns with what you would traditionally think of as the male sex is actually cisgender. And cisgender is what we would consider the mainstream, or I guess they would consider the old school way of thinking. So the whole idea of the LGBTQ term.
What's female then?
Yeah.
I think cisgender.
Oh, they're both.
Yeah, right. I think it's more of a.
I thought it had something to do with your sister or something. I don't know.
Wait now. So what this big thing you gave me, these are genders or sexes?
Genders. I'll double check that because honestly, I'm not. Remember,
so male is not a gender.
Not exactly.
So would it be disrespectful if I spoke in a very respectful way to one of these individuals and explained to them that they have been lured into a social engineering experiment unbeknownst to them, and that's why they believe in all of this crap?
Probably by communists.
Yeah. Would I be disrespectful? I mean, I'm going to.
No, you would be. You'd be very disrespectful, and you might even commit a crime. I don't know. You're not allowed to have. But I'll tell you one thing: they never convinced me there are more than two sexes.
I'm on board with you there for sure. I'll take that to the last day.
And I'm going to stick with my definition of women.
Me too.
No matter what. I'll never get on the Supreme Court because I can define a woman. To get on the Supreme Court, you have to not. Yeah. You have to say you don't know what a woman is, which indicates one of two things: you're lying or you're extremely poorly educated.
Yeah. Or you're what do they call that? You're pandering.
Yeah, and then you go on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And everybody cheers for you.
Pandering to a constituents.
Wow. We're in trouble, aren't we? This has gone pretty far, hasn't it?
Yeah, when the people buy into it, we're in trouble.
This has gone pretty darn far.
Now, Mayor, what's your closing message for the week? A very busy week, of course.
I think I'm going to say a prayer to Jesus to help us, to straighten us out, to get us back to thinking like normal children of God.
Yeah.
And he made us male and female, told us to go and multiply. It's right the first couple of books, first couple of words in Genesis, right? Gosh.
To resonate with the world that they live in.
I mean, I would even think that the whole animal kingdom is.
Every mammal is made up of a male and a female, and they're all about doing the same thing.
If there are a couple of aberrations, okay, but I mean,
Like the panda bears, for example.
yeah, what they're trying to do is they're trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do. I think they're actually trying to destroy our way of life.
They're trying to turn us into panda bears.
Yeah. I don't think there is a good explanation for what they're doing, other than it's part of the communist conspiracy to destroy America and our way of life. And it's really a pure application of Marxism, which is crush their culture.
And what's amazing is that it's working.
Yeah. Well, but there is a fight back now among the parents, particularly. I mean, I've never seen parents angrier than if you tell them some scurvy person from these companies that make a fortune off it, or the teachers union communists come up and say to a little girl, "Do you know what you are, a girl or a boy?"
And you got Joe
Gee,
Biden.
Daddy and Mommy told me I'm a girl. Well, you can't listen to Daddy and Mommy.
You got Joe Biden sniffing.
That you
the hair.
can, and we're going to make you into a boy, but don't tell Daddy and Mommy.
Then you get the president of your country out there sniffing their hair on TV.
Maybe that's why we're in trouble, because we have perverts in the White House.
The leadership is a degraded form of leadership.
I watched the movie Dr. Strangelove the other night, and there was a great scene in there by Keenan Wynn's son. I forgot his first name. Keenan Wynn's son was also a great actor. He has just a small part in Dr. Strangelove, which is one of the best movies ever made, anywhere, anytime. And it's a left-wing movie. It's an anti-war, anti-nuclear weapon movie. And I guess everybody's anti-nuclear weapon. My boss, Ronald Reagan, was the most anti-nuclear weapon you ever met. But there's what he says to Peter Sellers, who's playing three parts, and the guy is trying to convince him that he needs cash. All the phones are out. The only phone available is a payphone, which we don't even have anymore, right? So he's trying to convince the guy who comes in to capture him, who's like a very straight American soldier, Keenan Wynn's son, "Will you just give me the money to call the White House to explain to them that this is a phony attack?" And he says, "Don't you try to, we've been taught, that you people will try to dissuade us, and you people," he said, "No, I'm a British officer. I'm Colonel, whatever, and this is not really an attack, and they're going to bomb Moscow," and They go on and on and on and on. And he says, "All right, I'll let you make one. You're always allowed to. I'll let you make one phone call." Well, the phone's not working, so he goes outside. He goes into a pay phone. He doesn't have any. He tries to make a collect call to the White House. Tries to make a collect. The operators him down. What do you think, we're crazy? Everybody be calling the White House. We took collect calls to the White House. So then he goes over to Keenan Wynn and he says, "Could you give me some cash?" "No." "You have any cash?" "No." So he tries to take his gun and smash open the Coca-Cola machine and get the cash out of the Coca-Cola. He said, "You can't do that to Coca-Cola. You can't do that to Coca-Cola. People can't steal from Coca-Cola. What are you, a prevert?" And he calls him a prevert. He says, "What are you, a prevert?"
I gotta watch that.
Have you seen this movie?
No.
Oh, you've seen it?
It sounds familiar. What is the name of the movie again?
Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, of course, it's a classic. No, I know
It is. Not only is it a classic, it is by far, without any doubt, one of the greatest acting performances, bravura by a single actor ever. That actor is Peter Sellers,
This guy right here.
who plays the President of the United States, Dr. Strangelove, and the British Colonel. Plays all three parts. And the interesting parts are when he addresses himself, when Dr. Strangelove is addressing the president. And the other guy that's totally out of his mind, hilariously funny, who's generally not a comedian, is George C. Scott, who's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The beginning of the movie, he's making love to his, he has a girlfriend that's kind of slutty. He's like a major big general, like he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. He's got this
floozy.
He's got like this 22-year-old floozy as his girlfriend, and he's got to interrupt it because an airplane has gotten loose with an atomic bomb headed to Moscow. He's all pissed off that he's got to go out, and he keeps calling her on the phone to keep her hot. He keeps calling her, baby. He's like in the Situation Room, talking about the airplane bombing Moscow and bombing New York.
I must have
and he
seen this.
gets on the phone, baby. Keep doing that. Yeah. Yeah, Buzz will be back quick. Yeah, Buzz will be back. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. I'm still plenty hot. Yeah. What? We're gonna hit Moscow. I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're gonna hit Moscow.
I've seen this. I know I've seen this.
Don't worry. Just hang on, babe.
Really? Stanley Kubrick.
1970s.
Yeah.
Late 60s.
Oh, even better. Late 60s. 68?
Oh, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. The other movie that I think would be really worthwhile seeing, if you want to see something of a Biden, is Being There.
Oh, that
Being There, I think, is 1980, and really it was Jimmy Carter. It was before Reagan had become president. It was before, obviously before Clinton, and it was right toward the end of the malaise Carter presidency.
Yeah.
And Peter Sellers plays the part of this guy who was a servant in a home of a very rich man.
What did they call him again? His
He
name?
was brought up. He was brought up that way. He was brought up that way, and they never taught him to read or write, and all of his knowledge and language comes from television. So he has all the colloquial television expressions of his day. And the greatest scene of all is when the woman who takes him in, this very rich woman, her husband's dying, and she gets a crush on him, and then she falls in love with him, and then she wants to make love to him.
Yeah.
So they end up in the bedroom, and he's watching
Shirley MacLaine.
He's watching not a pornographic movie, like a regular movie where people are just kissing or something, and he's like going like this. He's like imitating the kiss.
Yeah.
Chansey, his name.
His name. We don't know what his name is, but somehow they give him the name Chance the butler.
Yes.
Yep. And so she looks at him and she's trying to get him interested in kissing and stuff. And then he says in the middle of it, in this kind of weird way, because he talks weird, she says, well, what do you like? And he says, he means the television. I like looking. And then she does the whole thing for him.
She gets all confused.
She does the whole thing for him.
Yeah.
And she finishes by saying, this was the best it's ever been.
Everything he touches turns to gold somehow in the movie, you know? Like,
Right.
But the last
That's
scene,
funny.
is worth the whole movie. Just to realize we could get the biggest jackass in the White House if the wrong things happen.
Well, on that note,
I don't know. I'm glad we were able to laugh before we go into the weekend. You always have to laugh. Tommy Von Essen reminded me of that this week as we went through 9/11, which got me all upset because of Biden's not only not coming, but lying about being here the day after 9/11. I do not understand why we keep this man in the White House one more day. I pray to God that I'm not right. And there comes a time in which we say, we kept him in the White House one day too long. I hope I am wrong. I used to think there are enough smart people around to stop him from doing the dumb things that he does. But he does do the dumb things, and they don't stop him. And maybe they're the ones that are really the dumb ones. I don't know. It's totally confusing. I just take the one thing about Afghanistan and giving up the Bagram Air Base 400 miles from China. Now, wasn't there anybody in the White House that could stop that? Or taking out the troops before the civilians? Isn't there anybody in the White House that could have stopped that? I mean, that. When I was talking to President Trump about that a week ago, and I said, President, could you imagine that happening? He said, I think a 10-year-old would know. you take out the troops last to protect the civilians. I mean, I think it's like he said, I can't imagine that if I had done that one of you guys, even though everybody always considered me kind of tough, but I had plenty of times when people said, well, Mr. President, I think that's wrong. I can't imagine that even one of my weaker souls wouldn't have said, Mr. President, you know, the way we usually do that is we take the civilians out first because there are all these terrorists around. See all those terrorists there? See, you know who they want to kill? Those civilians. So you take the troops out and you leave the civilians, and the terrorists kill the civilians. Now, if you leave the troops there and protect them, and then the troops go out last, you might keep people alive. He said, I think somebody would tell me that. I think somebody would have, any president. I can't imagine it. So it means it's a nut house. It means the White House is a nut house, which I didn't expect. I expected Biden himself would be non-functioning. But I didn't think that the support structure, it may be why we became communists, because I don't think by nature Biden was a communist. But it isn't even the communist thing I'm talking about now. It's the irrational, insane, homicidal decisions they make. And then giving them $85 billion in arms.
You would think there'd be guardrails, right?
Yeah.
To prevent that.
I always think you watch a war movie and you know you burn the fort before you turn it over to the enemy. Oh, well. Well, you come back to us on Sunday, WABCradio.com. Mm-hmm. Please. Dr. Maria will be there, and we're going to discuss vaccines, among other things. Don't forget, load up on your, before Christmas. Now, let's get these, and so we can have a little ceremony together. balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy. Make sure you take care of our friends at t2t.org. Maybe a pillow from mypillows.com. Promo code Rudy. You can help us. We can continue to help you get all the news that's kept from you, which is what we try to do. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able